Why does the poor remain poor while the rich get richer? And if you are poor now, how can you become rich? Can you change your way of thinking to achieve that? If you feel that this topic resonates with you, and it certainly does because you are Egyptian like me, then follow along carefully in this episode, where we will discuss one of the most important books on money and investment, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. This book, written by Robert Kiyosaki in 1998, has received a rating of 3.9 out of 5 on Goodreads. It is not just a theoretical book, but a real-life experience that the author himself lived. Kiyosaki tells his story about two individuals who had a significant influence on his perspective on money. The first is his biological father, who represents the poor dad, a highly educated and intelligent man who worked in an ordinary job with a limited salary, which led him to struggle financially throughout his life. The second is the father of his close friend, who represents the rich dad, a man with little formal education, but who succeeded in building great wealth through a deep understanding of money and investment. In this episode, we will explore the fundamental differences in the way each of the rich dad and the poor dad thinks, and how these differences can directly impact your life and financial future. The way we were raised differs between the rich dad and the poor dad, as each of them taught their child completely different concepts. The poor dad instilled certain ideas in his son, while the rich dad taught his son entirely different things. This is where Robert Kiyosaki decided to write this book to reveal the difference between what the rich dad tells his children and what the poor dad tells his children. But before we begin, let's establish some fundamental concepts related to the world of money and business. We all know that there is something called income and something called expenses. Income is the money you earn, whether monthly, yearly, or in any other form. Expenses are the money you spend on your various needs. However, what most people fail to recognize is the existence of two other crucial concepts. One, assets. Assets are things that generate money for you without requiring continuous effort. In other words, they work for you and provide income even if you are not actively involved. Examples include real estate. If you own a property, its value increases over time, and this price appreciation benefits you directly. Business ventures. If you own a successful business, it generates profits for you even if you are not working in it all the time. 2. Liabilities. Liabilities, or financial obligations, are things that continuously drain your money. Instead of adding income, they require you to keep spending to maintain them. Examples include a car. Owning a car means you constantly pay for fuel, maintenance, and spare parts, making it a financial burden rather than a financial asset. This fundamental difference between assets and liabilities is what distinguishes the way the rich think from the way the poor think. While the rich focus on acquiring assets that generate income, the poor fall into the trap of liabilities that drain their money without providing any real returns. There is income, which is the money you earn, and expenses, which is the money you spend. In addition to that, there are assets, which are things that generate money for you without requiring continuous effort, such as real estate and businesses that provide you with passive income. On the other hand, there are liabilities, which are things that continuously drain your money, such as your car, which requires fuel and regular maintenance. After defining these concepts, let's move on to the lessons that Robert Kiyosaki learned from his two fathers, the rich dad and the poor dad. In his book, Robert mentions that there are 3 fundamental lessons. The first lesson children learn from their parents is the type of education they should pursue. The poor dad teaches his son to get the best education possible so he can secure a prestigious job. He views education as merely a means to get a good job, even if it requires earning a master's degree or a doctorate. In the end, what matters most to him is employment. However, in the world of investments and entrepreneurship, he lacks any real knowledge. There is income, which is the money you earn, and expenses, which is the money you spend. In addition to that, there are assets, which are things that generate money for you without requiring continuous effort, such as real estate and businesses that provide you with passive income. On the other hand, there are liabilities, which are things that continuously drain your money, such as your car, which requires fuel and regular maintenance. After defining these concepts, let's move on to the lessons that Robert Kiyosaki learned from his two fathers, the rich dad and the poor dad. In his book, Robert mentions that there are three fundamental lessons. The first lesson children learn from their parents is the type of education they should pursue. The poor dad teaches his son to get the best education possible so he can secure a prestigious job. He views education as merely a means to get a good job, even if it requires earning a master's degree or a doctorate. In the end, what matters most to him is employment. However, in the world of investments and entrepreneurship, he lacks any real knowledge. The second lesson we learn from Rich Dad, Poor Dad is the nature of work required after completing education. The poor dad is always searching for a job that provides him with an income. He works to earn a monthly salary and spends his entire life working for someone else, whether in a company, a government institution, or a bank. But in the end, he is working solely to make money. This person remains trapped between two things: the fear of losing money, the desire to achieve his dreams and enjoy life like everyone else. However, he stays stuck in this cycle of fear and desire, unable to achieve anything beyond continuously working to earn money. On the other hand, the rich dad operates very differently. He does not work to earn money. Instead, he makes money work for him. In short, the rich dad's work revolves around growing and increasing his assets. He does not seek a job, but focuses on building assets like businesses, real estate, land, and other investments that generate passive income without requiring constant work. Because of this, the rich dad lives with financial freedom and teaches his son how to be free like him, away from the limitations of a traditional job. The third lesson we learn from Rich Dad, Poor Dad is how to manage money or handle the income you earn. We all know people who made a lot of money but still ended up broke. Why does that happen? The author explains that people fall into three financial classes. The poor class, completely dependent on their monthly income to cover daily expenses, have no assets generating income, have no investments to benefit from. Whatever they earn goes directly toward basic living expenses. The middle class uses income to pay off liabilities first, such as loans and bills, then covers regular expenses. If anything is left, they might save a small amount, but it's usually not enough to create real assets. The wealthy class handles money very differently. Any income they receive is first invested in assets that generate more money, such as real estate, stocks, or businesses. Over time, their wealth grows continuously, leading to financial freedom. These three lessons from Rich Dad, Poor Dad highlight the differences in mindset between the wealthy and the poor when it comes to education, work, and money management.